In this episode, we're going to focus on one of the most human parts of incident response, which is knowing when to notify other people and when to escalate the situation so it gets the attention and authority it needs. New learners often imagine incidents as purely technical events, like a system breaks and then engineers fix it, but real incidents are organizational events as much as technical ones. The hardest moments are often the early ones, when the facts are incomplete, the risk is uncertain, and people must decide whether to wake others up, involve leadership, or contact specialists. In AI incidents, those decisions can be even more sensitive because issues may involve privacy, harmful content, customer trust, legal obligations, or vendor relationships. By the end, you should understand what triggers are, why they matter, how to choose them carefully, and how notification and escalation keep a bad situation from becoming worse. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A trigger is a defined condition that tells you it is time to take a specific action, such as notifying a team, escalating to leadership, or activating a formal incident process. Triggers exist because humans are inconsistent under stress, and inconsistency is dangerous when decisions must be made quickly. Without triggers, people delay because they do not want to bother others, or they overreact because they are afraid, and both patterns can cause harm. Triggers create clarity by turning vague worry into a concrete rule, like if this happens, we do that. For beginners, it helps to think of triggers as safety rails that keep decisions on track when emotions run high. Triggers are not meant to replace judgment, but they are meant to reduce hesitation and to prevent important steps from being skipped. Notification and escalation are related but not identical, and keeping the difference clear helps you respond more effectively. Notification means informing someone that something may be happening so they can be aware, contribute information, or prepare to act. Escalation means raising the level of attention and authority, usually by involving senior responders, leaders, or specialized teams, because the situation is more severe, more urgent, or more complex than a normal event. Not every notification is an escalation, and not every escalation is a full crisis, but both are purposeful moves. In AI incidents, you may notify an engineering owner to check system behavior while also escalating to a security lead if sensitive data exposure is suspected. You might notify a privacy team when personal data might be involved, even if the technical investigation is still early. The key is that notification is about awareness and readiness, while escalation is about governance and decision power. To choose the right triggers, you first need to understand what kinds of harm AI incidents can create and how quickly that harm can spread. Some harm is immediate, such as an AI system producing unsafe instructions that could lead users to harm themselves or others, or an AI system taking an automated action that changes critical records. Some harm is about confidentiality, such as sensitive data being revealed in outputs or being captured in logs where unauthorized people might access it. Some harm is about integrity, such as model behavior changing unexpectedly due to tampering or drift, which can cause wrong decisions. Some harm is about availability, such as a service disruption that affects business operations. Triggers should map to these harm stories rather than to vague feelings, because harm stories help you decide what is urgent and what resources are needed. Beginners should remember that the purpose of a trigger is to protect people, data, and operations by ensuring the right help arrives quickly. A common and very useful trigger category is severity, meaning the potential impact if the event is real. Severity triggers might include confirmed exposure of sensitive data, confirmed unsafe outputs reaching users, confirmed unauthorized access to AI systems, or confirmed tampering with model configurations. The word confirmed matters because it sets a standard for evidence, but you also need triggers for high-risk suspicion, because waiting for perfect proof can be dangerous. For example, if there is strong evidence that a system is leaking restricted information, you may need to escalate, even while still verifying the full scope. Severity triggers work best when they are tied to the organization's values and obligations, such as protecting personal data and preventing harm. For beginners, The important idea is that severity triggers should be calibrated so they are neither too sensitive, creating constant alarms, nor too strict, causing delayed response. Another trigger category is scope, meaning how many systems, users, or data sources might be affected. A small issue in one test environment may be handled quietly, but the same issue in production with many users may require fast escalation. Scope triggers might include evidence that the same unsafe output is occurring across multiple users, evidence that multiple integrations are involved, or evidence that multiple environments are showing similar anomalies. Scope can also include the type of user impacted, such as public users versus internal users, because public-facing issues often require communications and legal involvement. In AI incidents, scope can grow quickly because models are reused across features and because integrations can spread outputs into many channels. Scope triggers exist to ensure that when an issue is not isolated, the response becomes coordinated rather than piecemeal. Beginners should see scope as a multiplier that can turn a small technical issue into a larger organizational risk. A third trigger category is confidence, meaning how strong the evidence is that something truly harmful is happening. Confidence can be tricky for beginners because you may assume you must be completely sure before escalating, but that approach can fail in fast-moving incidents. A more realistic approach is to escalate based on a combination of confidence and potential harm. If potential harm is high, you may escalate even with moderate confidence, especially if escalation brings more eyes and better investigation capability. If potential harm is low, you might notify and monitor while gathering more evidence before escalating. In AI incidents, confidence may start low because early signals can look like normal drift, normal user experimentation, or benign errors. Triggers based on confidence encourage teams to articulate what they know and what they do not know, which improves decision quality. The goal is not to avoid escalation, but to make escalation purposeful and evidence-guided. Time sensitivity is another important trigger category because some incidents demand rapid action to prevent harm from compounding. If an AI system is actively sending risky outputs to users, every minute matters because more users can be affected. If a system is connected to sensitive data and you suspect unauthorized access, delay increases the chance of data being copied or exfiltrated. If a system is taking automated actions, delay increases the chance of incorrect actions accumulating. Time sensitivity triggers might include repeated alerts over a short period, rapid spikes in blocked prompts that suggest probing, or signs of automated high-volume misuse. These triggers help ensure that teams do not treat an urgent issue as if it were a routine ticket. For beginners, the key lesson is that time sensitivity is not about panic. It is about recognizing that some harms accelerate quickly and require faster coordination. Another trigger category in AI incident response is legal and contractual thresholds, because certain events create obligations regardless of technical root cause. If personal data might be involved, privacy and legal teams often need early notification so they can guide evidence handling and reporting obligations. If a vendor system or partner data is involved, contract teams may need to review notification requirements and coordinate communication. If regulated environments are involved, compliance teams may need to ensure the incident is handled according to required procedures. These triggers are not meant to slow response. They are meant to prevent mistakes that create additional risk, such as sharing sensitive information improperly or missing required notifications. Beginners sometimes think legal involvement means trouble, but it is often a protective measure that helps the organization respond responsibly. The earlier these stakeholders are informed when triggers are met, the smoother the later reporting process becomes. Now we need to talk about the actual act of notifying and escalating, because the content and tone of messages matter. A good notification is short, factual, and clear about what is needed from the recipient. It describes the observed facts, such as what signal occurred, when it occurred, and what system is involved, and it states the immediate action being taken, such as increasing monitoring or restricting access. It also clearly states what the recipient should do, such as confirm whether a recent change was deployed or help assess whether the system is still producing risky outputs. A good escalation message adds severity, scope, and time sensitivity, and it frames the decision point, such as whether to pause a feature or activate a broader incident process. For AI incidents, Clarity about what content might be sensitive is also important because you do not want to spread confidential prompts or outputs unnecessarily. Beginners should learn that the best messages reduce confusion and create coordinated action, not fear. Escalation also depends on having clear paths, meaning people know who is on call, who has decision authority, and how to reach them quickly. Without clear paths, responders waste time searching for the right person, or they rely on informal contacts that may not be available. Clear paths are part of governance, and they should be documented and practiced so they work during stressful moments. In AI incidents, clear paths may include model owners, data owners, application owners, security incident leads, privacy leads, and vendor contacts. The path should also include what happens if the first person does not respond, because escalation is often time-sensitive. For beginners, the lesson is that escalation is not just a decision. It is a process, and processes must be designed before emergencies. Good processes make it easier to do the right thing quickly. It is also important to understand how triggers can be tuned over time, because triggers that are poorly tuned create either constant escalation fatigue or dangerous silence. If triggers are too sensitive, leaders will be pulled into too many minor issues, and eventually people will stop taking escalation seriously. If triggers are too strict, responders will hesitate and incidents will expand before leadership is aware. Tuning triggers requires reviewing past incidents and near misses to see what signals predicted real harm and what signals created noise. In AI security, this tuning is especially important because systems can produce many unusual outputs that are not necessarily harmful, and you need triggers that focus on real risk. Beginners should see trigger tuning as a learning process, where the organization gets better at recognizing early warning signs and responding appropriately. Over time, tuned triggers create a healthier incident culture where escalation is normal, expected, and effective. As we close, remember that notifying and escalating are containment tools in their own right, because they bring the right people and authority to the problem early. Triggers are the rules that tell you when to notify and when to escalate, and they exist to prevent delay, confusion, and inconsistent judgment. The most useful triggers reflect severity, scope, confidence, time sensitivity, and legal or contractual thresholds, and they are tuned to the organization's real risk stories. Good notification messages are factual, clear, and action-oriented, and good escalation messages frame impact and decisions without speculation. When these practices are in place, AI incidents are less likely to spiral because the right help arrives quickly and decisions are made with shared facts. Learning to use triggers well is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to make incident response faster, calmer, and more trustworthy.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.